Hi, Math Ninjas. We are on day 7 of our big FSA Math practice packet. We are going to do our 10 problems today. Remember, if I move too fast and you need some time to solve the problem, give yourself about that minute of think time, okay? If you can do it in quicker than a minute, that is awesome. But a minute per problem is perfect, okay? We are going to have 2 discussion posts today. I will not help you with those questions, okay? But I will let you know what those are when we get to them. So we are on day 7 of our preview and review standards. Let's get started. Number 1, Chad has 6 plates. Each plate has 1 apple. How many apples are there? Go ahead and solve it and pick your answer. All right, so if he has 6 plates and each plate has 1 apple, what are you doing? You're multiplying, right? You have 6 times 1, 6 plates. Each plate has 1 apple. What is 6 times 1? What should you have gotten? 6. Give me a hiya if you got it right. Hiya. All right, number 2. Oh, fractions. Think about what we know about the numerators and the denominators. Danny walked 3/4 of a mile. Theo walked 3/8 of a mile. Select all the correct statements that describe the fractions. So when it says all, you better have more than one answer. Go ahead and think about it. All right, so if you need more time to look over and think about the answers, pause the video, push play when you are ready, okay? 3/4 is equivalent to 3/8 because the fraction marks the same point. Equivalent means equal. Are 3/4 and 3/8 the same? No. Okay, let's take a minute and look at these fractions. What do we know? Well, we know that the numerators are the same. So if the numerators are the same, we look at the denominator and we pick the smallest denominator is actually the larger fraction. Because if you think about 3/4, if you drew it, draw your picture if you need to. 3/4 is pretty close to 1 whole, right? But if we have 3/8, and we shaded in 1, 2, 3, that's not a lot, right? So we know 3/4 is greater than 3/8 because it's farther from 0. So if we were to put it on a number line, so you should have picked B. There is one more answer. If 3/4 is greater, can 3/4 be less? No, that's not right. 3/8 is less than 3/4 because it's closer to 0. Is this fraction smaller than this fraction? Yes. So B and D, let's look at this one. 3/8 is greater than 3/4 because it's closer to 0. Well, if it's less, it can't be greater. So you should have gotten B and D, okay? Number 3, guys, is your discussion post. Go ahead and circle that and put a DP. You are going to go back at the end of this and revisit number 3. Select all the equations that demonstrate the distributive property, okay? So where we're breaking it apart. Remember, we've done that before. All right, way back in our time machines on that one. Number 4, Brent has 5 pages for cards in his album. Each page holds the same number of cards. Brent has 40 cards in his collection. He places all his cards on the pages. How many cards does each page hold? All right, take a minute, answer that one. All right, let's think about what we know. If you need to pause the video and solve it, go ahead and do that. All right, we know that he has 5 pages for cards. Okay, so that's like saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each page holds the same number of cards. We don't know that. So that's like saying, we don't know how many are going to hold it. But Brent has 40 cards in his collection. So what are we doing with the 40 and the 5? We're dividing. We're breaking up that 40 and we are equally putting them on those 5 pages. And what is 40 divided by 5? Now, when we have 40, it's probably not the best strategy to sit there and draw 40 dots and break them apart. We should know what times 5 equals 40. So count by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. You should have gotten 8. Okay. Number 5, Inez has 2 rows of plants. There are 8 plants in each row. Each plant has 3 flowers. How many flowers are there in all? Guys, this is a multi-step problem, okay? If you feel confident to solve it and then write in your answer, go ahead and do that now. All right, pause it if you're still working. So Inez has 2 rows of plants. When there's rows, I know right away we're going to what? We're going to multiply. There are 8 plants, oh, here's another keyword, in each row. So your first step is 2 times 8. What is 2 times 8? 16, right? So on each row, there's 8 plants. In those 2 rows altogether, how many plants do we have? 16. But then each plant has 3 flowers. So that's like saying 16 times 3. Now, guys, you might not know what 16 times 3 is, but can you use a different strategy? Yes, repeated addition. If you don't know what 16 times 3 is, stack it and add 16 plus 16 plus 16. Okay, then we can kind of think about this. 6 plus 6 plus 6, or 6 times 3. You know that. What's 6 times 3? 18. So put down the 8, carry the 1. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. You should have gotten 48. Do you remember how to write it on the grid? Remember, we start in that first box. We write the 4, we bubble it in. We write the 8 right next to it. We find the column and we bubble it in. Bubbles nice and only in the circle, okay? I'm going to show you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see you doing this because that's going to confuse the computer that grades it, and it's not going to know what you're bubbling, okay? So you should have gotten 48 for that one. All right, flipping it over. Remember, you're going to have those discussion posts. You're going to have 2 discussion posts. So one more will be a discussion post. Select all the equations for which the missing number is 3. So plug it in, solve it. All right, so if we plugged it in, is 6 times 3, 18? Yeah, you should have gotten A. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, did you notice, did you underline all? Kiss your brain if you did. All right, 3 divided by 1. Does that equal 3? Yes. 3 times 3, does that equal 6? No, that equals 9. 23 divided by 3, does that equal 7? No, you can't even do that. All right, what about 7 times 3? Is that going to equal 3? No, that equals what? 21. So as you notice, I'm putting little X's on the far side of answers that I know are not right. That helps me eliminate and choose what I need to pick. This is a great strategy to use. Do not put your X over here, okay? Because then, again, the computer is going to think, oh, they picked C. So if you're crossing out, you can do it like this, or just put a little X. All right, we've seen these before. Complete the equations, match the fractions with their equivalent whole number. Do you guys remember how to do that? Go ahead and take a minute and see if you can figure it out. All right, so if you remember, the fraction sign also stands for division. So if you said 6 divided by 1 or 12 divided by 2, what do both of those equal? You should have picked 6. Okay. What about 6 divided by 3? And 4 divided by 2. What do both of those equal? 2. What about 4 divided by 4? 1 divided by 1. Or when we see a fraction that has the same numerator and the same denominator, right away our brain says that it is equal to what? 1 whole. Okay? And then what's the last one? 8 divided by 2, or 2 times what equals 8? 16 divided by 4, or 4 times what equals 16? You should have gotten 4. Okay? All right, number 8. Write the number that makes this equation true. This is a property that we talked about a long time ago, the associative property. Okay, what do you notice about these two equations? They have parentheses, and the parentheses have just moved. Okay, so first the parentheses were back here. Then they moved them to the front. So the numbers should be the same. So what number should go on this line? Go ahead and write it in. A 7, right? You should have written a 7. And if you remember, we should be getting good at bubbling in. We start in that first box and we make sure that we are bubbling dark and hard in that same column, number 7. Okay, we're almost done. All right, number 9 is a discussion post. Circle it, write DP. Peggy has 4 whole sandwiches. She cuts each whole into halves. Then Peggy gives away 1 whole sandwich. Okay, What is the fraction that would represent? All right. And then number 10, last one, Jana plays a game with 3 friends. They use 28 counters in the game. If each player has the same number of counters, how many counters does each player have? I'm trying to trick you on this one. Take a minute, solve it, find your answer. All right, well, I see 2 numbers. 2 numbers jump out at me, 28, and then I see 3. And I know that we're dividing because we're starting with a big number. We have 28 counters, and each player is getting some. Okay? But we can't do 28 divided by 3 because we also have to include who? Jana. So that's really not 3 friends, it's what? 4 friends. So 28 divided by 4 equals what? You should have picked 7 counters. All right, guys, so your discussion post for today, you need to take a few minutes. You need to solve number 9, write your answer, and you also need to solve number 3, all the equations. So you should have more than one answer, right? Then when you are all done with that discussion post, remember, our FSA warm-ups are days match. So today we are on day 7. We just did day 7 in our review. Now you will do day 7 by yourself. Have mom and dad check your work. Guess what? Only 2 problems. Happy birthday. All right, super ninjas. Go ahead. Give me a bow on the count of 3, and we'll say namaste. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Namaste. All right, good job.